Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Friday. Is match day, of course. Arsenal in action later on this evening away at Manchester City in the FA Cup fourth round. What a mouth-watering tie it is. Perhaps not as big as it would be when Arsenal play Manchester City in the league, which is only just over a couple of weeks away now, but even so, it's still a big game, and the first time the top two in the Premier League meet this season, albeit in a different competition. What sort of sides will we see? Who will the managers pick? That is a big talking point ahead of this one. Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola giving very little away, both of them during their press conferences in the build-up to the game, but you would think there are certainly going to be some changes. If it was the Premier League, you could pretty much guarantee right now this starting 11 for Arsenal. Very different for this one. I will end the video by trying to do a predicted 11 for tonight, and I imagine I'll be very wrong because it is very difficult to call. But it's a big decision for Mikel Arteta. I wrote a piece that's gone out on Goal this morning. I tweeted it out on my Twitter account if you want to go and have a read of it at some point. It's kind of looking at the big dilemma facing Mikel for this one, really, because in a way, yes, you want to rest your players and protect them for the Premier League because that is clearly the priority, the position Arsenal are in, the opportunity they have to go on and potentially win the Premier League. It's huge. And do you want one of your key players, a Thomas Partey, for example, getting injured in a cup tie that potentially rules him out of the league games? No, you don't. But having said that, can you really just rest players purely on the chance that they might get injured, because they could get injured in a league game as well? It's just as much chance as you can in the league, in the cup. So I don't know. It's a really difficult one. I keep going back, and I think I've said this in previous video. I mentioned it in the piece I wrote this morning. I keep going back to 2007-2008 season. The Arsenal were flying. They were top of the table. They were 5 points clear, just as they are now, but they were 5 points clear in March. And they went to Man United in the FA Cup fifth round. Wenger changed his team massively. They got battered 4-0. And then immediately after that, they went 5 games without winning the league, ended up surrendering their sort of lead in the title race and lost out by 4 points to Manchester United. And yes, the Birmingham game, which was the one immediately after the United Cup game when Eduardo got the injury, when Birmingham got the last minute equaliser, that was clearly a massive moment in the season. But I always think that game before it, the Man United game, was where Arsenal really lost momentum, because they went into it against a rival, albeit in a different competition. They rested everyone. They got a hammer in. Their rival got a boost from it. They then sort of just, Arsenal's momentum dipped. And I just felt like that was such a crucial moment of that season. And I can't get that out of my head ahead of this game today, because I think there's a lot of similarities with it. So personally for me, I'd go pretty strong for this one. In fact, I'd go virtually full strength for this one. This is just my opinion, obviously, and I know plenty of you will have different opinions to me on this one, but I'd be going full strength. I just think there's no midweek game. There's 8 days, whatever it is, until the next Premier League game. Yeah, 8 days before Everton away. And so do you really need to rest players? I think there'll be a couple. I'd rotate the fullbacks maybe, because there's not that much of a drop-off, and I think Tierney and Tomiyasu are excellent and they need games. But other than that, I'm just not sure. I think I'd probably rest Martinelli maybe. I don't know, but I'd play Partey, and I know that scares a lot of people with just do not play Partey. I've seen so many people saying it on social media. But I just think, who else do you play? If you don't play Partey, who else do you play in this position? There's no El Neni, so you're playing Sambi Lokonga as a holding midfielder at the Etihad against that City midfield. Whoever plays in that City midfield, it's going to be top quality. I just think it's not fair on Sambi for a start, who's not been playing that well. He's not been in the best of form, and then suddenly you're asking him to play in a position he's not the most comfortable in at the Etihad away against Manchester City. He's on a bit of a hide into nothing in that one. So I'd be playing Thomas Partey, and I'd be playing Granit Xhaka, and I'd be playing Martinelli. I just think you go pretty much as near a full strength as you possibly can in this one. Mikel was talking about it in the build-up to the game, and he was saying that it's going to be very different to the league game. Two very different games. Probably going to be different teams, and he's right. There will be different teams, no doubt about it. But and I think there will be different games. But I still think that this game could have a real impact on the season as a whole. And I think you just don't. If you go and lose, if you play well, you go and lose, then there's obviously no shame in that. Losing to Manchester City at the Etihad, most teams that tends to happen to them. But if you go and end up getting on the wrong side of a really bad defeat, I just think that sends out a bad message. I think it knocks the momentum, knocks the confidence, no matter who's in the starting 11. And I just don't think the players really need that. So I wouldn't be surprised. And Arteta always goes strong. I mean, think back to the Oxford game. He played Saka and Martinelli against Oxford in the last round. Yes, he made a few other changes elsewhere, but the fact, you're playing Saka and Martinelli against Oxford, he always tends to go stronger than we all expect for these big cup games. So, I'm expecting one. It doesn't look like Smith Rowe has travelled. I don't know why yet, but it doesn't look like he's travelled. He's not been in any of the pictures of the players getting off the squad because they all arrived in Manchester yesterday. They're all photoed getting off the coaches and everything. And it's... Yeah, that's a shame. It depends. I don't want to speculate because I've seen everyone on social media saying, "Oh, Smith Rowe, he's so injury prone. He's never going to be fit." Blah blah blah. We don't know if he's injured yet. He might be ill. So I'm not going to speculate on why he's out. But it's a shame because if he indeed is out, which isn't confirmed, obviously, then that is a shame because it feels like this was an opportunity for him to get some minutes. Maybe not starting, but certainly get some minutes. And we need Smith Rowe fit for this second half of the season, no doubt about it. He needs to be another option for Mikel Arteta off the bench. That bench has to be really, really strong. There has to be people that Arteta can turn to if the game's not going right. I think you can come on and change things. And Smith Rowe is one of those players. And so you need to have him fit and available. So it's a shame that he's not going to get minutes under his belt tonight if he indeed is injured, which we will find out later. But yeah, that will be a shame, absolutely, because he would have been an important player tonight. Guardiola's been speaking about it. I mean, him and Arteta it's been a bit of a love-in in the build-up to this one. We know how good of friends they are. Mikel's been speaking about how much he owes Guardiola, how much he respects him, why he's been such an inspiration in his sort of managerial coaching career. And Guardiola's been speaking about Arteta. I saw a really good social media clip doing the rounds yesterday from his press conference when he said, Arteta always used to jump up and cheer every single goal we scored. He'd be hugging, jumping up. But the one team he'd never cheer a goal against, he'd turn around and see Arteta just sitting on the bench still, not celebrating, would be Arsenal. And he said that was the point that he knew that Arsenal was his team and that he really, really loved Arsenal. And he spoke about how he couldn't hold him back from going when the opportunity arrived. And so just nice comments. And they spoke a little bit about Zinchenko and Jesus as well and letting them go. And so there's lots of narrative, there's lots of storylines around this game, as there always is with Manchester City, but the key one obviously is the fact that it's the top two in the Premier League going toe-to-toe for the first time this season, the match we've all been waiting for. Guardiola said it will be different at the Emirates in a couple of weeks and different when we play at home. Of course, tomorrow we play and we'll see what we can both do. I'm pretty sure that for the league, the second one in the league, we will change something, either players or the way we play. Maybe they will do something we don't expect, or we will do something that they don't expect. So he's not expecting this match to really have too much of an impact on the league games coming up in the league season as a whole, because he thinks, like Arteta, that they will be two very, very different sort of encounters. But, both teams will want to get one over the other tonight. They will know, I think, mentally and psychologically what sort of boost a victory will give. So as much as they say it, both of them, and they're both good at this sort of PR game in the build up to matches. We know that. And I just think no matter what they both say, no matter how many niceties they exchange and what they say about each other and what they say about the team selection, blah blah blah, both of them will want to win this game, and they'll want to win it pretty badly, I think, just to send out that message ahead of the second half of the season in terms of what is to come. Okay, so predicted 11. Now, look, disclaimer, this is going to be wrong. This is going to be wrong. I have no idea what Arteta's going to do today. I'm afraid. I wish I could tell you categorically how he's thinking, but I just don't know. And I think all the predicted 11s you're going to see today in the various papers, websites that you're going to look at, everyone is basically guessing because no one knows exactly what he's going to do. But this is the one I am going to go for myself. I think Ramsdale's going to play. I think a lot of people are expecting Turner to play. I've got a feeling he might go with Ramsdale for this one, and Turner might have to be on the bench. So I'm going to go with Ramsdale. Then I'm going to go Tomiyasu. I'm going to go Holding, Gabriel and Tierney as the back four. I'm going to go Partey, Xhaka and Odegaard as the midfield three, so the usual midfield three. And then I'm going to go Saka on the right and Nketiah as a central striker, and then Trossard on the left. So that's Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Holding, Gabriel, Tierney, Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Nketiah, Trossard. So from that, the sort of key Premier League starting 11 players that I'm resting for this one, if my predicted 11 would be White, Saliba, Zinchenko and Martinelli. That's it. Again, that's probably going to be totally wrong. Maybe Kivior will play for his debut. I can't imagine it. I just think, do you really throw him in for his first game away against Manchester City at the Etihad, potentially up against Erling Haaland or even Alvarez? I'm just not sure. When he's only been here for a week, getting used to his teammates, I'm not sure that's an ideal situation to throw a player into his debut. So I personally think Gabriel will play. I think he'll probably rest Saliba and Holding will come in for it. But then other than that, like I said, I think Partey has to play. I'd be playing Xhaka and I'd be playing Odegaard. I know Vieira's there, but still I'd be going with the other two for me. And then you have Vieira to come off the bench if needs be, and Martinelli to come off the bench if needs be. But I'd be playing Saka. You'd have to play Nketiah because I don't think there's no one else to really play unless you play Trossard as a number 9, sort of false 9, which I don't think he will, or I hope he doesn't. And I think Trossard might come in. I thought, Martinelli looked a little bit, maybe tired's not the right word, but he hasn't really done too much in the last few games, and this might be a good opportunity. Trossard's up to speed. He knows all about Manchester City. He scored at the Etihad earlier in the season, so nothing's going to be a surprise to him. It's very different situations with Kivior. So I think Trossard, this is a good opportunity to give Trossard his first start. So one more time in that, my predicted 11, which is going to be totally wrong. Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Holding, Gabriel, Tierney, Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Nketiah and Trossard. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. Anything I've said in this video that you agree with, disagree with, whatever starting 11 you want to see tonight, please let me know, as always, by dropping them into the comments below. Have a fantastic day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.